Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Hey, good morning. Well, it is Wednesday, and I'm not sure what to think of today. But we got some weird stuff going on. Let's look. Okay, so yesterday... Oh, how come I'm not seeing... There we go. All right. So yesterday, I took a trade in the E-mini long, and eventually I got a breakout to the upside. Oh, that's not where we want to... I want to go further back. Okay. Eventually I got a breakout to the upside, which then promptly broke down after we left, and then eventually ended the day higher. Actually, there was some like panic buying on the close, which I thought was interesting. At the same time, when that thing really broke down, when we broke up to the upside in ES, immediately afterwards, we had a huge move up. I mean, that is like a $500 move right there in the Treasuries for no explainable reason. I have no clue why it did it. I thought that perhaps there was some news, there was kind of some rumor of wars and rumors of wars yesterday, but we didn't get anything from it. Yeah, I don't know what, I still don't see anything, so maybe it was nothing. Maybe Treasuries come back today. I don't know. I mean, there is some, we could justify some of it on just concerns of global growth, I suppose. But yeah, it's just kind of an odd setup. Anyways, and then we come over, we've got some news today, right? So we're going to get the U.S. trade balance and unemployment claims today. So probably, even though it's moving here on the open, they're just selling it here. Interesting. They're going to be pushed back. Well, they're trading quite a lot. So something's going on. Something's going on. I have no clue what, but we don't necessarily have to know what's going on. We can kind of just follow the order flow. I am going to be a little bit more cautious today, though. Yeah. So anyways... Oh, we need to move that. Should have done that first. There we go. For what it's worth, short 14 ZV. And by the way, hello, wrong. Can't wait for Fed cuts as market hit all-time highs. I feel like we're in bizarro world. Right? Well, like, here's the thing that bothers me, is that it seems pretty clear to me that the rest of the world is already in a recession. I don't know if they've gotten negative GDP, but they are essentially in Europe. They're essentially easing, like things are not going well in Europe. Honestly, if you look at the past 10 years, things have not been going well in Europe for them for a long time. And the United States has continued to be relatively successful compared to everybody else. We could potentially get dragged down, but, you know, it's not a good sign for the United States. And markets are acting like, party like it's 1999, Yeah, Fed cuts. You're buying it up to all-time highs. I'm just waiting for my friends to start giving me stock tips. Like, what's going to happen, because they got to bring in everybody else. For this to end, you got to bring in all the little people. Let all the institutional players get out and sell, and then just let it, crater. Kind of like they did in Bitcoin this past week. Oh, they actually, did they make it up yesterday in Bitcoin? It seems to me like another pump may be coming in Bitcoin, actually. I would not touch that thing with a 10-foot pole, folks. I wanted to buy Bitcoin, and I honestly did. But they just didn't let it go down to a spot where I thought it was safe. And now all I can see is that everything that it does is just manipulation. Why would you want to be in on a trade like that? And then I look over at the E-mini and I'm like, is that any different? You know what I mean? Not trying to be like negative, but good grief. Okay. We need to do something about that advertisement that we're getting, because that's lame-tarded. Oh, you know what those advertisements are? Because I turned on the rewards thing. Maybe I'll leave it on. I don't know. I thought it was going to hit 1 to 2.5K, right? Well, that's what I thought it was going to do. The thing is, well, we can look at what it is now. Because people have actually been using it, it's probably worth a little bit more than that. It's probably worth like 5K or something now. Well, it never went down there. We got 3, right? 3 would have been okay, I guess. It wasn't the typical behavior, right? So unfortunate, but nothing we can do about it, because clearly it's not behaving the same. It's moving because somebody is basically printing money. Somebody's basically printing fake money and using it to buy Bitcoin, and people are going along with it. Good morning, Nicholas. 152. We're back actually up to 167 if you count the move yesterday. Oops. Divided by 152 is our multiplier. Gives us a velocity of 70. So to be safe to buy, we'd want to see it at around 3,000. And if we move down, we might see blockchain transactions decrease, and so that may go lower. So that's where we're at. Okay, well, they're holding the 7. Okay. I don't know if I could just straight up buy away here, but, there's news coming out, right? So it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What are we looking at for news? We got 3 minutes. Okay, for the U.S. trade balance, we're looking for a reading of negative 53.2 billion, and unemployment claims, we were looking for a reading of 220,000. So pretty standard numbers. I don't know, guys. That opening range is enough to make me say that we could trade today, Good morning, Uzi. Okay, so 09 was the open. They can trade above 09. I'm thinking if they can't hold... Birds fighting. If they can't hold the open, that gives us an extremely uncertain reading on today. And I suppose they don't really know... I don't really know why it's up this high. Another thing I wonder is, You get like the pre-holiday volatility sometimes, you know what I mean? We've seen that the past couple of times that we've done this. I don't either, Seth. What levels do you have in ZN? So we have to go like way far back. So like the local highs are 128.08. So that we're holding those levels is kind of weird. We're actually at the high, aren't we? So now we're getting into so this is also where it gets hard. Is this is like the chart here in the lower right? See, so if we come back, when were we last at this spot? Right. So here's this top right here, 127, 29 half, 128 area. And then there's this gap all the way to 129.05. So, you know, we're basically in no man's land all the way up to 129.05. 05 half, you can see that somebody has a big order up there. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, news came out while I wasn't even paying attention. This must not have been a big deal, huh? Trade balance, negative 55, spot 5, higher than expected. Unemployment claims, 221, slightly higher than expected, but by 1K, that is probably the most in line I've ever seen unemployment claims come in. We are moving back down. You have 175. Well, one thing, neither markets, nothing happened yet. If we look above us, I think that I would be looking at the big orders at this point. I mean, liquidity is low. Okay, first of all, 3,500 on the DOM is really low. You know, preferable not to trade under those circumstances. But it's summer, you know. But then, you know, 4,500, okay, maybe, you know, that far out, 129 even seems like a thing. 05 seems like a thing. 16 half, you know. Now to the downside, we got all sorts of stuff, right? Another thing I guess that we should do is, because we're moving up, when we tend to move up, you tend to get outperformance in the bonds. And that's pretty much what we've been seeing this quarter. So I would keep an eye out for unusual behavior in ZB, like we did yesterday. Remember that whole thing, kind of the initial move up, you saw unusual action in ZB. I don't know about the second move up. This, man, just such a weird move, right? Such a weird move. YouTube is kind of being slow on me today for some reason. I'm not getting any network drops though. I wish I knew what caused the encoder rendering lag though. Maybe I should, well, I mean, you guys don't notice, so it's probably not worth it, but maybe this is why some of the gaming streamers use like dual machine setups and stuff like that. Or maybe a capture card. Capture card would be fun. I keep looking at when I got nothing going on, I'll go around on YouTube and try and learn things about video editing and streaming and stuff. And man, there's always something else you can do. And I look at it and I'm like, this is just getting more and more extreme. It even happened before Trump announced the Fed thing. Makes you wonder about insider trading. Yeah, although I don't think that his Fed picks really would justify a move like that, would they? You know? I don't think that nominations, I mean, the chairman, man, sorry, I'm like talking too loud. The chairman can certainly do that, but just nominations. It was interesting. I didn't get to read it. Where was it? Where was I reading this headline? Was it CNBC? They were saying that the other pick was like gold and stuff. And I was like, great. Picked another. Oh, here it is right here. Trump's Fed pick, Judy Shelton, is a fan of the golden standard and other unusual economic policies. In tapping Judy Shelton to become one of 2 Federal Reserve Board governors, Donald Trump selected one of the minority of mainstream economics supportive of a return to the gold standard and critical of central bank activity. So basically, he nominated somebody to the Federal Reserve that has no fucking clue what she's doing. And probably shouldn't be. Like, look, the guy that he proposed before, I liked. Because he said that you're wrong. He said you shouldn't have raised in December. And he was outspoken and he was confident about it, and he turned out to be right. So I was all on board with this guy being on the board, even though it looked like he was unusual, okay? But when you start saying that we should have a proponent of the gold standard on the Federal Reserve Board, that makes no fucking sense. Why do you put somebody on the Federal Reserve that doesn't think that the Federal Reserve should even exist, basically? This is not a good idea. Okay, so a big order just showed up above us at 09. And they're selling. They're moving away from it. Is it going to move? Now it's doing it at 08.5. That's interesting. Yeah, that's probably where it's going to turn now. No, all of these levels right here thickened up too. Ooh, they seem to be selling it pretty aggressive. Okay, here's JP saying something to think about looking back. Trump's election night range. Oh, yeah. That is what it is, isn't it? That whole gap that we were talking about. So John, you have any idea why we moved up so much yesterday? What is your thought? Because the thing that's confusing to me, and I know that you don't always necessarily care about what kind of news moved it up, but the thing that was bizarre to me was that I could not think of any kind of technical reason for it to move to where it did either. I just found yesterday's move to be incredibly unusual and confusing. And it just it was just like 16 ticks up out of nowhere for no reason. You can see as soon as I take it, it's fighting me. I think, though, it's the 4th of July move. I don't know. I think we have a pretty high probability of coming into this 04 area, but we'll see. We'll see. There's a bunch of volume trading here around 07 still, so it seems like maybe somebody still wants to hold this area. Have we actually gotten a favorable tick out of it yet? No, I don't think we have. Oh no, yeah, we've gotten one. It's given us one. Probably could have gotten filled at 06.5, right? Safe haven, pre-holiday, and U.S. Treasuries are the best of the worst in yields. That's a good point. Man. You know what, though? You remember a year or two ago? It wasn't 2 years ago, but, remember when we were talking about how the average true range in Treasuries has decreased so significantly. And we were in that time period where the E-mini would just go up every day and volatility was incredibly low and treasuries were just like a hard trade. And I was frustrated because I felt like I was blaming my difficulty in trading on the lack of range. Which, it is, my strategy does do worse during range. I think that we've worked a little bit to overcome some of that, but probably always still going to be a thing. But then you can't blame your losses on that. You just kind of have to wait for the time to come eventually. You might have to wait years, but it'll come. Well, I think that it's coming back, don't you think? It seems like ZB is the star again. We're moving up. We're getting quite a bit of volatility in treasuries. I think that the glory days of scalping, maybe it won't be as great as it was back in from 2008 to 2016, but it seems like it's getting better than it was the past 3 years that I've been trading. Hopefully we don't quite get to 2-point range days, but okay, well, I did get my fill. So let's just kind of relax and see what it does. I think that 04 is pretty likely. There was news yesterday about Christine Lagarde replacing Mario Draghi at the helm of the ECB. That's a good point too. That could make a move like that, couldn't it? It could have been the European bonds moving it, and that's why the treasuries moved on so little volume. It's because they were just following the other global yields. Now, this move confuses me. I know that we knew that Mario Draghi's term was coming up, but I was thinking, couldn't they maybe keep him? They could put him in for another term, right? But maybe he didn't want it or something. And then this other person is like Uber Dove. This other person, I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out. And then, going back to the whole thing that started this, Donald Trump nominates somebody. Not following active buying took place. So when I looked at my DOM afterwards, granted I wasn't able to look at it super strongly, but when I was looking at my DOM afterwards, there was a lot of prices where only less than 1,000 contracts had traded. There was a lot of buying up towards the top. So if you were looking on the chart, you might not see it, but if you look at your footprint charts, you'll see that some of those prices were not. What is the word? Some of those prices were not auctioned a ton. Let's see, he's got a link here. Yeah, bond investors cheer Christine Lagarde's nomination for ECB presidency. Yeah, because it means all of our bonds are worth more. basically the end effect of it, right? There's a there's a limit though, right? You get too dovish. The thing is, we always think about Fed policy, like what is a Fed policy mistake? And we say, well, okay, if your economy is moving up and you you are too hawkish, then you harm global growth, or you harm growth, you restrict the flow of money, and you basically cause a recession. And this is basically how recessions happen. And it's part of it is maybe intended because there has to be a cycle to some extent, but you can be too hawkish. And if you're too dovish at the top, then you can overheat, and then you have the possibility of a crescendo top in markets, and you're more likely to have a really, really catastrophic fall, because then the Fed is behind the curve on the policy, and so you can have a deeper recession, right? That's my understanding. But when we look at the euro, do either of those two things apply? I don't think that they do, because we're already concerned about the economy. So if we're concerned, then we want to be dovish, right? So what happens if we're down at the bottom and we're too dovish? Well, when you're dovish, you get low yields. It encourages a lot of money to move around. But if you let the bonds, the amount of money that you're making from holding the bonds, even though you're getting low yields, you basically are encouraging the traders to just trade the money instead of putting it to work in the economy. This is what happened when we were in the Obama years, and we were saying that they needed to raise rates. Notice how it wasn't until they raised rates that the economy in the United States really got going, right? My take on it is that it was because there was no incentive for that money to get outside of, the banking space, basically. So it was traders were making tons of money off of it, and traders made a ton of money, but it wasn't making it to Americans, right? IMF chief seeming established and likely to prolong era of ultra-loose monetary policy. And so I say, if it's a she, right? I forget. Christine Lagarde. Yeah, I think it's a girl, right? If she's too dovish, the euro area is going to continue to underperform, because they're not doing what they need to get the money into the actual hands of entrepreneurs and increase their economy. That's my theory. Right now, it's not necessarily the big deal, because short-term economy doesn't look so great in the euro. So, whatever. Well, they made one tick lower, and now we're pulling back. It seems like there's pretty strong pressure to the downside, especially when you look at the level 2. Look at how strong it is stacked on the offers, and prices coming back up into that and just hitting a wall. But it does seem like pretty range bound, like you're not getting a ton of trade anymore, despite all of the action that we had on the open. So we may get something like a slow breakdown potentially. Or maybe even just sit there. It would take a lot of volume to get through all this stuff. Or it would have to just completely pull, which, with as much as stacked there and all of that, I think is a pretty big ask. It's interesting. It's mostly in ZN that you really see it. I mean, they're stacking some offers in ZF, but those might just be, it might just be standard affair, Anyways, so I want to read about Trump's Fed pick. In tapping Duty Shelton to become one of the 2 Federal Reserve Board governors, President Trump selected one of the minority of mainstream economists supportive of a return to the gold standard and critical of central bank activity. Shelton, who serves as the U.S. Executive Director at the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, wrote as recently as last year in support of pegging the dollar to gold prices. What an idiot. Trump announced his intention to nominate both Shelton and St. Louis Fed economist Christopher Waller via a tweet on Tuesday. Shelton's unorthodox monetary beliefs will likely draw questions from Senate lawmakers who will ultimately need to approve Shelton and Walker to the Fed board. I'm wondering if they will actually approve him. If the last guy couldn't get confirmed, why is this guy going to get confirmed? Because I personally am not in favor of this. And if I'm not in favor of this, there's probably, more moderate people than myself that are going to be concerned. Like, will Lindsay vote for this guy? I don't know about that. In a post published by the libertarian think tank Cato Institute in 2018, Shelton drew a comparison between cryptocurrencies and gold. If the appeal of cryptocurrencies is their capacity to provide a common currency and to maintain a uniform value for every issued unit, excuse me, we need to only consult historical experience to ascertain that these same qualities were achieved through the classical international gold standard. In proposing a new international monetary system linked in some way to gold, America has an opportunity to secure continued prominence in global monetary affairs. Yeah, until the traders come along and manipulate the price of gold and crash your economy. The choice of Shelton may hint at Trump's growing frustration with Fed leaders and the direction of the central bank's monetary policy. Trump has argued that higher interest rates and so-called quantitative tightening have capped GDP growth and dampened the U.S. position in trade deliberations in Beijing. Donald, buddy, listen, we gotta talk, Donald. If you think that the Federal Reserve has been too hawkish, okay, that they have increased interest rates too much, the last thing you want to do is to hire somebody in favor of the gold standard. Gold standard people, you know what they hate? They hate low interest rates. They hate printing money. You want the Federal Reserve, you're saying you want the Federal Reserve to print more money. You're nominating somebody that is going to be more hawkish. Duh. Listen, it's okay. It's not your thing. And, there's lots of people and, there's advisors, and this is kind of an amorphous thing. So I'm not going to blame you for making, make mistakes and everything. But I don't think that this guy is going to get through. And when he doesn't, when she doesn't, I would recommend not picking somebody that is in favor of the gold standard. I would recommend finding a conservative that is dovish. Just me. That's hard because conservatives tend to be hawkish. But you mean a pro MMT Fed? Well, I don't think that he wants an MMT Fed, but MMT thinks even more extreme. They're more than just dovish, I think there's just a mistake of saying that modern monetary theory is basically that the Fed should just be forever dovish. That's not quite what they think, because modern monetary theory is basically, in my mind, it's like they're saying that politically they should take advantage and encourage the bank to be easy, and that you should intentionally borrow a ton. It's based on, I don't know. I went and I read all that stuff, and I remember you guys told me about the person that is kind of, that pulled at 07.5 a little too easily. I remember you guys telling me about the person that Bernie Sanders has tapped that is one of the biggest proponents of modern monetary theory, and I read what she said. And what she says about debt and borrowing and all these things is just dead wrong. I was just like, have you ever looked at markets? Because markets behave the exact opposite of what you're saying. Fed funds keeps ticking down. I don't know. There's some buying coming into ZB there again. I think we should be a little careful here. That could be a reload, and ZB is maybe about to fall, but I'm seeing the buying in the bond. And if we're gonna flatten, I don't know what we're gonna do. I think that probably the probability is we're gonna flatten, but seems there's no appetite for lower prices despite bad ADP, just closing gap at the moment, so this rebound goes on, although swing scale trend looks down today. Overall, a tough call. Two previous Trump nominees, Stephen Moore and Herman Cain, bowed out of consideration. Blah, 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 blah. Questioned in a recent interview with the Wall Street Journal opinion page whether the U.S. central bank should lower rates, she said the answer is yes. When you have an economy primed to grow because of reduced taxes, regulation, dynamic energy, and trade reforms, you want to ensure maximum access to capital, she told the Journal. The Fed's practice of paying banks to keep money parked at the Fed in deposit accounts instead of going into the economy is unhealthy and distorting. The rate should come down quickly as the practice is phased out. Bullshit. Sorry. I shouldn't swear there. Interest rates are low. There's plenty of capital flowing around, folks. Go and look at Bitcoin and tell me there's not plenty of capital flowing around. Well, although they're printing that money, so maybe not. Maybe that's a bad example. Go and look at gold. Go and look at the price of gold and then tell me that there's not plenty of capital flowing around. There's money flowing around. It's just not going to where you want it to. This is the problem. This is the mistake that I think that central bank policy has made over the past 10 years, is that it's not enough just to say we should have an easy monetary policy and we should, loan out a lot of money for growth. Okay. You can go and you can create plenty of money for growth. You can lower taxes and, companies buy back shares. Okay. But where does that money go? If those people that own those shares sell their stocks and then they go and they buy gold, then it doesn't really help us, does it? It only helps us if they sell them, they sell those stocks and then go and invest it in companies that need it. And it seems to me like right now investors are not so sure. They're not sure where it's needed and they're scared. And so they're putting it into other places. It's like, I think maybe I can make a bigger picture here to get you guys maybe to see if you agree with me or you disagree with me. Okay. The cycle has to happen. You can't stop it. You can't stop the cycle. And we understand the cycle enough now that we can fight it. And Donald Trump wants to fight the cycle. But at some point, it's going to have to go. You have to go through the cycle. It can't go up forever. Maybe a bear flattener, not easy for ZN. Nah, they're just waiting for me to... Kind of sucks that scratched. But you know what? Not a spot that we want to be trading in anyways. Lucas says, I concur. Yeah. If there was one thing, if I was, on television, Alligator gave me a punch when I said that they're just trying to force me to scratch and now they can move down again. There's a lot of pulling in this area, though. They clearly are. I think that they want to go short, but they need people to shuffle around. Because they did enough to force me out at 08, and then now 07 is going offer again really easily. And look at where the 5-year is relative in relation. If you were on television, I'd have to cancel my cable. And yet, the response to that. I'm not even going to say it. I love you, JB. No, if I was on television, that would be the thing that I would try and tell people. That would be the thing that I would try and teach people, is that the economic cycle, it is not this. Everybody thinks that it is this thing that shouldn't happen and has only been created by the Federal Reserve. It's not true. It's a lie. That's a lie. It is the nature of life. Bad things happen. Bad things happen. You can't stop it. Sooner or later, something's going to happen. Human systems are, by their very nature, imperfect and flawed and will eventually break down. And you have to plan for it. You should assume that at some point something's going to happen. That's why we have Federal Reserve policy. That's why the economic cycle exists. Because we say we cannot stop it, but what we can do is we can moderate it so that it doesn't end up being a complete disaster when it happens. You can only protect against it. Yeah, I would rephrase that to be like you can't stop it from happening, but you can plan for it, right? You can have money saved up, so that when it happens, you have money to put into the markets at the bottom and start rebuilding again. Well, 06 half went offer, but it ticks back up like it doesn't care. It seems to me in this space that the market maker has complete control. He could make it go offer at 06 if he wanted to. Nobody would probably stop him. Because these prices are ticking down 500 contracts. That's nothing to him. But that's my thing. It just drives me nuts to no end. And I think I see this especially among Democrats. This idea that we can just we can set the world up to account for every possible contingency so that nothing bad can ever happen or should ever happen to anybody. And it's just not it's a view that is not in line with reality. They're living in a fantasy world. Things have been so good for so long. The economy has been so good for so long. And really think about it. Like, okay, the 2008 crisis was bad, but how bad was it really when you really look at the bigger picture? Like, okay, 10 years later, guess what? We're okay. And the poorest people in the United States live better than some of the richest people in other countries. It's just insane how prosperous we are. We're so prosperous that we can't even comprehend it because we have nothing to compare it against. And so we have all of these people that even though we're having like some of the best economy that we've ever had, there's some people out there that thinks that things are just going absolutely terrible right now. That's, we have an inaccurate view of the world. And so because things have been so nice, we seem to think that we can keep it nice forever and that nothing bad is ever going to happen. But sooner or later, something bad is going to happen. It is. And you're going to have another recession. And it's not the end of the world. It's a recession. It's a necessary part of life to rebuild. The fire has to come along and clear out the old so that there's room for the new. Right? Look at the things that people are complaining about. Google and other tech companies have become too strong and too powerful. Well, you know how you deal with that sort of a thing? You have a recession, and some of those companies go kaput. And then there's room for new companies that are, diversify the space to come up and grow. Google wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for the 2008 crisis, right? And they came out of that very, very strong. And all of their competitors died. Yahoo and all those people. I believe that because we reached the summit of material wellness, but emotionally we are not so evolved. So everything looks bad despite things going okay. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Man, I think that they're going to move down and I'm going to get left behind. And I'm kind of sitting here thinking like, fine, be that way. Clearly you don't want to let me make money today. So that's fine. I scratched the first one. It's okay. Look, there they take it. Like it's nothing. Now they're going to hit into 05 half. Ticks back up. Probably not one that you could mess with because you don't want to sell at the low. They could still move back up and hit me for all we know. Although I think the probability is that they're going to continue moving down. Do you think Bitcoin is going to dip now? It sold as soon as it dipped a little bit earlier. Well, sure. By the way, welcome to the stream. Thank you for coming in and thank you for asking a question. So the thing that I see in Bitcoin is that if it was purely about people's positions and the fundamental value on the blockchain and all of these other things, we should be selling. What I see right now is a lot of people got long above 10K. A lot of people got long above 10K. And there are a lot of people that have lost money now in Bitcoin. And if we continue to move down, then that is a lot of people to get squeezed out, That at some point they have to panic and sell. And there's just so many whales out there and everything to sell. It's a big problem, okay? But it appears that they can just go out and print more Tether whenever they want, is what it looks like to me. Because my value indicators continue to show it at extremely overbought levels in a way that has never happened before historically. And so I believe based on that, or I suspect based on that, because I can't, you can't prove it or anything. But my working theory is that it is because somebody is manipulating price, most likely by printing Tether and buying assets with it, and then manipulating markets like the Bitcoin futures, to make dollars on the side in order to continue funding your operations and then in turn pump price again. So could there be another pump? I mean, what we saw yesterday, I think, was a pretty decent pump, right? they continue moving it up or do they move it down? It just depends on what he wants to do. And I'm not so sure that I can predict what he's going to do. You know what I mean? So my recommendation is if you're not in Bitcoin right now, then it's probably better to stay out because you don't want to be messing with something that's, clearly manipulated. And if you're already in, I suppose it depends on where you got in from. But you probably want to be having risk parameters about where you think it's going to go, because the thing, and I would try and limit your exposure in terms of like time in the market. Like, I don't think that you want to be buying Bitcoin right now and holding it for 5 years at this moment, because you're going to get a better opportunity to buy in that time probably. Because at any moment, the United States government could come in and say, well, Bitfinex is clearly perpetuating fraud here, and shut them down and stop the issuance of Tether and only allow people to redeem Tethers. And since there's probably more Tethers than there is actual money that they have available, then when y'all try and get out, you're not all going to be able to get out. I bought as soon as the pump yesterday, and I sold it a few hours ago when it dipped a little. Well, there you go. I mean, yeah, there you go. I don't know. I personally, I just can't trade that thing on a short-term basis, because it, to me, the way that it moves appears random, There's no way for me to know from here if they're going to stop out longs or stop out shorts. Kind of seems like they just kind of do whatever they feel like. So they tried buying at 06 and they got stopped. Wrong says we are in a bull market. I'm talking about stock market. Well, we totally are. I don't think anybody disputes that we're in a bull market, but I think that many people believe that we are close to the top in a bull market. They certainly have a good argument, right? Because we're seeing a lot of things that you see at tops. Like the stock market moving up, even though the fundamentals, the fundamental picture in the numbers is not good. So I wonder, does this mean that they're going to buy the E-mini? Well, the E-mini is up in the overnight. They haven't moved a ton from this morning, though. Probably not worth touching it. Anyways, I think that Bitcoin at some point is going to go kaput, but I really can't know when I say that. I did my research and said that, and I said that. Oh, okay. I mean, we're definitely in a bull market. It's just this Treasuries thing. It's like, when have we ever seen Treasuries move up like this, and then, everything was okay? A little weird. I have to say, I wonder if ES will break 3K today. It's so close. Yeah, you have a good point. Well, I mean, it's like 15 points away, and we've been moving so small the past few days in ES. It might be a tough reach. I suppose they could try, though. the action and the technicals and everything to me suggest that ES can certainly move higher. They don't have to do it today, though. You know, it would be better if they kind of ranged around and just, took profits and consolidated before the holiday. And, so sure enough, hitting into 05 half now. Not seeing much interest at all in the treasuries in terms of like spoofing and stuff. Yeah. It kind of sucks how this whole thing happens because when I got forced to scratch, I knew exactly what was going to happen, didn't I? And that's where I go in and I say it's pretty hard to not think that the market's out to get me because that one will happen almost every time. I know that it's going to move down, but that they will never do it in a way that I can really participate. And if I had sold, then they would still be ranging at 07 for a while before, I'd finally gotten out and given up. Is that Trump's erection night Reddit fast? No, election night. Oh, dude. See that stack at 06 half too? It's like, it's gonna do it. Can I just sell 05 half maybe? When I look at this and I say, let's just assume that they are out to get me. It's okay to think that because like really, if you were a big trader, they would certainly be out to get you, right? And don't you want to be a big trader someday, maybe? So you might as well practice now. But if that's the case, then that means you really only want to take a trade when you're in a safe spot. Was it a safe spot at 07? It was pretty, we'd already had a big move. Is it a safe spot at 05? Probably not, because again, it moved it back up against us. We got to wait for a better opportunity for them to let us in, where it's not so easy for them to just mess with it. It does seem that we've moved down here mostly on market making, though. I can still see buying coming into the ZB too, even though they sold to get down to here, but like there was like this iceberg at 08 and everything. There was an iceberg at 08 and now there's a ton of volume going into 09. That could be the spread. Okay, so they ticked down and they reloaded a little bit. Hmm. 5-year tick up. not a ton of volume goes into it, though. Kind of wants to do it. Look at ZB there at 09. Yeah, and they hit it, and there's a nice breather. Okay, they got through it. They got through it. So look, guys, it's fine. You can buy it. Well, 06 doesn't look too confident in the 5-year. It's holding, though. They're not going along with it, but it's holding. Is ZB an 11 tick range? Do we consider 11 tick? You know what I call that IQ? I call that a trend. 11 ticks. Eleven tick move to me is a range. I get what you're saying though. Like we moved from 17 down to 09. Well, oh wait. And now maybe they're going to move back up possibly to like the open at 15. So that 06 isn't pulling at all. They're sure making it look like you're getting strong uptrend. It may be being sly though. I don't know. That tick up and the pulling at 06 and everything is enough to make me say that I'm not confident about taking a short there, but I'm suspicious that they're going to move it up to 06, maybe even 06 half, and turn, and then go for the low. You know, they're pulling up to 15. Yeah. I'm not sure I quite see that, but there's something going on. I can see the stack below us and some of the orders pulling in the 5-year and the level 2 starting to flip. I can't see on the absorption side, unfortunately, because for some reason on this instrument, my Vista chart gets screwed up. So I wonder if I go to the flip and I change the snapshot levels. If I do something like 6, does that change it? Nope. Hey, on your DOMs, are those other gray highlighted prices the session open? I mean, the gray is just the amount of liquidity that's on there. At 09 was the open. There is quite a bit of size there, and usually there is. But gray only means that they're stacking there. It doesn't mean anything else. So I have 5 flip depth and balance. So why does this one look different? Like ZB, you got 10 highlighted and 17. Why is your 17? Or you mean on my DOM? Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe that is the open price. Hold on a second. Seems like there's no difference between them. I don't know why that particular thing. I think that's it right there, right? No, that's not it. Flip chart. I don't know why it doesn't show. Lucas says it's a glitch. So let's look. Appearance. Price. Highlight background color. Last traded price. Non-traded price. Non-traded price front color. Traded price back color. So I think that means that it doesn't think that it traded. And it doesn't think that traded because of the reset on the open. I think that's why that price is dark. Because I don't know. I don't see anything. There's no setting for trade, highlight the open and close. So it's got to be a glitch. In fact, if I just save that and make it yellow. Oh. Maybe it is not a glitch. Alligator says, looks like a pullback, but I'm not convinced by the downside. Yours was just too consistent. You have a secondary highlighted prices on all of your Treasury products. Yeah. And 087, no, that's not right, because it was 090 on my chart over here. Although they could just be getting them off, slightly off. It's 15 in ZB. Mine is 15 in ZB, and the price that's highlighted is 17. And 29.85.25 is certainly not the open in ES, right? So it's definitely some sort of a glitch. Live action says I have 14 for the open on ZB. Yeah, 14.15. Probably depends slightly on when your software thought that it was the open, because it was like switching between the two of them. E-mini is seeing a little bit of selling. We got 2 minutes for the equity open. Maybe this is a bad idea. I didn't realize it was so close. I like the way that I got filled. KK just making sure. Yeah, it probably is a glitch. Somehow how my workspace was not saved and I had to set up all the levels again. I want to try TT eventually. And I really like Jigsaw, but there's still a couple of little rough around the edges areas. It'll never crash on you. It'll never affect your trading, but you can definitely find weird stuff. Like, when the cumulative delta breaks and we have to we have to move this around and get everything to reset, well, that's certainly a thing. ZN and ZB are both testing their overnight initial balances. Be careful. Could 17 be the VWAP? No, so the VWAP is the one that is highlighted orange on the volume profile. Pretty quiet open NES so far. I know they're pushing it a little bit. Okay, and they're buying it. So they're just reverting the last swing. I don't really have a strong opinion on what ES is going to do today. Let's just keep an eye on it and see how they do. There was a decent amount of buying, but not super impressive. There was a little bit of selling, but that was not incredibly. That looked more like a revert, not a real push. Treasuries are moving down. So maybe the E-mini is going to buy today. Do you reset the entire volume profile at ES open? Yes. Well, the default behavior is, at least. You can change that if you go into the session manager, and you can change these things. Right? And you can set up the CBOT equity indexes and tell it to reset when the RTH starts. Of course, just because I say we and bull, so they crash it. Okay, so there was 2 buys there, and then a sell, wipe it out pretty quickly. But they didn't extend the range too much yet. It's kind of funny. I'm looking at it, and I'm reading big things into what is essentially only 500 contracts in volume difference, cumulative delta. Go easy on yourself. Wrong. They're all at all-time highs, so most likely place to sell. Well, look, there's still. Maybe they can't get over the open NES. I don't know. I don't know, guys. What I'm seeing right there, it's almost been 5 minutes. What I'm seeing right there is that it's not a good day to trade. At least not equities. I think treasuries may still have some stuff to do. Well, one contract went into 05. Maybe could have bought there at 29.83, let's just say. Would go against you? Maybe. It's quite a bit trading now at that Plenty of control area. And it does go through. Treasuries not liking it. But it's not just going. And they stack. There's 6. Rooting for you, Seth. I have the same trade, but in the ZT. I don't know if that makes me feel good live action, because I kind of feel like I shouldn't have been in this trade. If this was a live trade, I would have scratched it. But for entertainment purposes. I don't know. I didn't like what just happened there at 06 either. He gives me the tongue. I hope that I'm not messing with you. I do think that the treasuries are going to go lower. I'm just not. It's just this spot right here is just I don't like. Is kind of what I'm getting at. It's all good, dude. It's all good. Come on, do it. Buy it. Buy that. Yes, buy it. There's some range. There's some extension buy bulls. Come on. Go for it. Well, one thing that I do see is that they ticked up at 06 and they stacked 3K on it. And then they pulled and ticked back down. And the last time that it traded, it was, 400. Okay, now that 06 is fighting a little bit. So that is in a range bound action. That kind of behavior would be good to say that we're less likely to get above 06. The bad news is that the E-mini is sitting on the higher end of the range and they're not ticking down at 05 half. So you kind of got a good sign and a bad sign. Also, if E-mini was to really buy, then that would be good for the short in the treasuries. But, they extended the range a little bit and then just came back to the open. So it's not enough. It's not enough to really know where it's going to go. I'm wondering, though, if they tick down at 05 half, does a lot of volume trade on it, or does it pull? I really think it goes up in big picture, but I still watch some criteria every day and compare it. And wrong says Lucas say, honestly don't look much at levels. I think I always want to know where the levels are so that I can watch for interesting order flow at those prices and see if I find anything fishy. Like, what do I see fishy right now? E-mini's moving up. Okay, so they just went for it. Somebody swept a few prices and triggered a bunch of stops at 28, 29, 85. And ZN has ticked up. I don't have years of data on that observation, but typically if they can't push back to the prior RTH close, they often will push to test the 50% to 75% extension levels. The modified fib tool seems to work well in conjunction with my bulb bear zone indicator for directional bias cues. So the previous day being way back down here, huh? $128.03.5. But see, look, they took it up to 06.5 easy that time. Anyways, should have listened to myself and just scratched it earlier, huh? Oh man, that's weird. 40% of Americans think a recession is looming. Well, that makes it less likely to happen, doesn't it? Okay, so I have a hard time understanding why you can have a sweep up like that and it's still not going. And the Treasuries moved up. Look at the volume. Look at the cumulative delta almost completely on its head. '07 is iceberging on the buy side? And there's a strong bid. My mom came over to ask about 4th of July preparations, and the dogs heard her come in and are really butthurt that they didn't get let out. I'm kind of... I have mixed feelings about ES right now, because I'm sitting here going like, well, seeing that sweep, maybe we could buy it, and maybe they do go to 3K. You know what I mean? But I look at this range in the first 15 minutes and everything like that. I don't think that it's good to try and a trade in there. And I'm not sure, because you would have to buy it down here, and then maybe they extend the range, and you know, you're just gonna get chopped up. This big bid here to 6.5. It may be a little suspicious. And equities may be reacting to slightly higher rates in the treasuries and buying on that. So, not particularly happy about that either. Seems I'm wondering if I'm off. Like this is one of those places where no matter what I do, I'm going to be wrong. There's ES at its high again. Not nearly as much cumulative delta as the first time though. This is like doing like a reload thing right there. 2984.75. Yeah, new high. Very tepid new high though. And they take 07 offer and 3K on it. They're really stacking it there now. Hmm. 06.5 is not pulling. They traded into it. They swept it. Pretty aggressive, huh? That was a little bit too aggressive for range-bound action. Right there at 06.5. Yes, still going. They're gonna go now. Now they're gonna go for the low. I don't know. That came back up again. Are you showing up tomorrow? No, it's a holiday tomorrow, dude. The market's not even open tomorrow, right? I don't even think that you get data tomorrow. You gotta wake up early to go to the parade. That's what my mom came over to talk about, was to go and set up chairs to try and get a spot in the parade. You're getting quite a bit of divergence in the E-mini too. You could maybe sell it short there at 29.84. You showed up before for coding. Yeah, but the 4th of July is a real holiday. Stuff actually happens on the 4th of July. Well, you'd get 4 ticks out of that. But then that's it. You know, it would be nice to have another day for coding, but I'm not sure what I would code. Like all of the ideas that I had at the time, I did something with, and I'm kind of watching them, but I don't know what I want to do with coding. We don't celebrate much here? No? There's always a barbecue. Listen, the 4th of July is the most important American holiday next to Christmas and Thanksgiving. So maybe it's the third most. It's right there. 4th of July and Halloween, they kind of compete. They gonna buy up 6.5? Okay. No, well, now it's fighting. A little odd. So now what happens at 07? E-mini is starting to look a little toppy to me. So this whole setup is weird because I think that the guy that was at 06 half that bought was for real, and they tried pushing it against him and nothing happened, and now look, they're taking it bid at 07 again. Look at that, some stops at 07 half. Something's going on. That was weird. There's a lot of volume trading down now here at 29.83 in ES. Look at all the 700s and stuff. Oh, I forgot about PMI. Okay, you know what? What are we looking for? ISM non-manufacturing PMI 56.1 and factory orders month over month negative spot 4. Yeah, thanks, Susie. It looks like that signal that stuff that I was seeing in ES anyways that was making me want to go short was probably nothing anyways. What was the manufacturing PMI before? 59 spot 56.9. Final services PMI was better than expected. A little suspicious. That would maybe explain why the odd volume, odd and suspicious volume in what appears to be a range-bound area. There's interest in trading the number. Five minutes. If the market doesn't prove everyone wrong, he is not happy. I tend to think of the market as a girl, but you're right. Things, because of the nature of things, it's going to tend to happen in a way that makes most people wrong. Well, shit. This might die quickly after the numbers. Yeah, you're probably right about that. Like, you could get a really big move that then either consolidates or retraces, and then you think that something else is going to happen and it never does. That's the way those tend to go, huh? So it came back on no increase in cumulative delta. Oh, actually, there was a sell there now. Right there at the 50. Hmm. 2 minutes. Fine. They're not going to do it. Yeah, I wish I hadn't done that, but that's okay. My nephew is taking IT in college. Any advice for him? Not really. I mean, they do a pretty good job in teaching you what you need to know. Is it IT or is it computer science? This is a little different. They gonna push for a new high before the news? Okay, so those factors is going to be important. We're looking for negative spot 1, remember. Or sorry, negative spot 4. Okay, here's the pull. 5 seconds. Okay. Not moving. Factory orders was negative spot 7. And the PMI was 55 spot 1. So both numbers were bad. Yeah, both numbers were bad. I didn't quite get the spot, unfortunately. A whole lot of nothing, yeah. Treasuries are moving up, though, overall. I'm surprised equities aren't moving more, because there was some buying going into it. So doesn't that mean that there's some positions to take off now? Uzi gives the little snore, smiley. And look at the 5-year. The 5-year is selling, but it's moving up. Divergence in cumulative delta in the 5-year. Like opposing divergence. Is that what we can we call it that? Yes, as well. Sellers have it. And that. I'm surprised. All that before the news and everything. Pretty big poll. There was definitely some interest in it. The numbers were definitely disappointing. Not incredibly so, but they did disappoint. Especially the PMI number. Yeah, but they don't care. Clearly in the wrong spot here. The wrong side of a 4-tick range. Delta is selling though. I don't know, guys. Well, composite PMI hovers near 3-year lows. Manufacturing slowdown spreads to services. It looks like a bad report to me. It's almost like ES thinks this is great because rates will stay low. Key level 09. Nice run back to the open in ZB. Yeah, now that they're above the open, I think you could buy it with a little bit more confidence. Hmm. Well, if you want an indication that we're in a bull market, when bad news is good news. 3 hours to go. Well, they finally gave me a favorable tick. So that's nice, I guess. Not too encouraging, is it? They're still trading pretty big numbers in the ES at each level. How are your robots doing? You know, I forgot to turn the robot on, but I had one robot that I probably should be turning on, and I haven't. I forgot all about that. I need to put that on my list, I guess. Because you have to actively turn it on when you start up Ninja Trader, unfortunately. It's an amazing one market, one chart, and everyone thinks and trades it differently. Yeah. That's what makes it a market. The whole setup here right now seems a little weird. Perceptions of reality. The thing that bothers me about what I'm seeing right now is that I'm like there's still volume out there. Like, okay, there's 09 half. It's kind of weird that the Treasuries saw that as a reason to buy, but the E-mini is just literally dead. Like, we haven't even moved 4 ticks since the news. All I know today is bounce off the initial balance. They did go down and bounce right off of the extended out initial balance. They're pretty good. I'm kind of thinking I would like to have that on my chart, but I think I would have to modify. I think I'm going to have to modify that indicator to be able to show 2 ones. I called the return to 24. 8 ticks? No, I don't think so. Did I? I don't think I understand what's going on in the bonds. I mean, my last trade was. Well, my last trade was a buy at 07. I scratched it. Hmm. They kind of failed that attempt at a new high hard. Oh, he's asking if Izzy caught that, and he said no. I usually don't have the nuts to trade before the holidays, to be honest. Well, looking at this trade, and uh, I don't think it should be doing what it's done anyways. I'm just not too happy with this action. Cut me some slack, at least I'm not lying. It's interesting. I mean, I did buy it at '07, and then I said, oh, there's going to be a thing. And then I took it off, and then I said, okay, that was bearish. Had I been thinking that I wanted to take the trade in the Treasuries instead of the E-mini, would I have bought back in again and taken, that would have been a really good move? Would I have taken it? I don't know. I kind of feel like that if I had taken it, that it wouldn't have done it. You know what I mean? Well, now the E-mini is giving me two. Can you believe that? That it's been this long and it's only given me two favorable ticks? I've tried converting him to the ZV. Yeah. Yeah, that whole thing. I mean, here in the summer where I'm for sure trading these on sim, it wouldn't be a bad idea to try and play the ZV. But where would I do it now at this point? Maybe if they came back, but man, that really shot up there in ZB. Good grief. Like the thing is the economic picture is absolutely bad. Okay, so there was a sweep by sellers. Maybe we're gonna start getting more now. Trump now commenting. Oh, S&P 500 hits new record high, up 19% for the year. Congratulations. There's that initial balance he's talking about. Maybe I will change my thing to just show the overnight initial balance, because that first 30-minute initial balance does not appear to be as useful as this one is. But can I do that and it will still show me the open price? Because the open price is really important to me. Like I'm sitting over here like, oh, should buy 09.5. Just because it's above it now. I'm a little disappointed that we got those sweeps down in E-mini and they came back above. Three ticks a day in ZV would build a decent sized account over a year. If I had a good enough win percentage. The problem in ZB, like if you look at it, when I trade in ZN, I'm usually hitting 45%. Usually. When I trade in ZB, I was hitting like under 30 sometimes. You know? It was just stopping me out too much. I would have to be really accurate with my prices. Mr. Bloomberg can stay making money on news. Well, I'm not making money on news, am I? When they gave me the 4 ticks down on the downside, that should have been like, okay. Because look at the delta. I don't know. This reminds me a lot of yesterday, doesn't it? It's like the cumulative delta. Well, it's the opposite of yesterday. Because yesterday the cumulative delta was short, and then eventually they broke to the outside. Today the cumulative delta is long. Maybe they break to the downside, but they might stop me out first. So there was some stops being triggered there at 29.86, and they immediately pull back. Nice place to short. 24.25. Yeah, that's still another move up. This, though, is not good. Because if they've come in and they're finding balance, which they appear to be doing at 09.5, then what they're going to do is they're going to push down until everybody gives up on it. And then they'll move it up again another rung. If it's stopping you out too much, you likely got one or two problems. Your entry is late, or you're getting right in front of a pullback, or your stop is too tight because the tick size scares you. So I'm just wondering, like, we'll watch this stop me out probably. Well, maybe I can save myself a few here, but 4 ticks isn't too tight if you're not late getting in. Sometimes I get in too early though. I don't know, man. I'll tell you what, we'll try it next week, and we'll see where the problems are, right? This thing over here, though, watch. They're gonna stop me out, and that's gonna be the end of it. And then there's gonna be some huge sell in the E-mini. I'm doing something dead wrong. I'm getting in too early. I'm so sad. It pisses me off, man. Kind of pisses me off. Looks like they're not done. For buying, though, this still looks pretty pathetic to me. Where's Smash the Bid? You know, I haven't seen him in a while. Maybe we offended him, I don't know. Maybe he felt like he was giving too much away. Hmm. He gave us one tasty nugget of information and then left us forever, yeah. Donald Trump, China and Europe playing big currency manipulation game and pumping money into their system in order to compete with the USA. We should match or continue being the dummies who sit back and politely watch as other countries continue to play their games as they have for many years. 5 minutes after observing all-time highs in the S&P 500, Trump demands more money be pumped into the system. Is Zero Hedges commentary on it. Or he's on vacation. That's probably a good, probably a more likely explanation, isn't it? Maybe what I should do is I should buy it. Then it would turn around. I just need to start buying the E-mini all the time, and then we can finally have some degree of sanity in the market. Because I bought. Well, China and Europe, I think, do. Well, China absolutely manipulates their currency. Europe is kind of like underhandedly manipulating their currency. Like, not underhandedly, that's not the right word. Like they have a reason to be easing the way that they are, right? But if Europe was to manipulate their currency, would they do anything differently? You know, you get what I mean? You get what I mean? And he has a good point here, where it's like, well, if everybody else is doing that, you can't keep it. You can't keep it high for forever. Well, it's not high. I don't know if we want negative interest rates or anything like that, but it's a complicated issue. I don't know if there's a good answer. If there's an answer, it's kind of like a lose-lose situation for us, isn't it? But at the same time, our economy is doing a lot better than theirs, so maybe we're not really losing, but He comes and goes. Yeah, he's been around for a long time, and he's never been like every day. Maybe he watches every day, but he doesn't comment. I know that there's a lot of people that come in almost every day. I mean, we pretty much get to 2024 literally every day, but it's really like, you know, 6 to 10 of you guys that really talk a lot, which I appreciate. We love you guys very much, and I'm sure that the people that are lurkers and have no reason or don't feel confident or for whatever the reason is, and that's totally okay. But for whatever reason that they don't come in and talk, I think that they probably really appreciate the things that you guys say. Doing the speaking for them. So do you see this? Exactly the spot that I took it. I took it on limit. It went through me. Literally went through me. How am I getting that so wrong? Over here in ZN, that tends not to happen to me. When I got a good one, it holds. Wow. I think I'm being foolish here. Like, taking that short, that is. Let's let this play out for a little bit more. And bum bum bum. Well, now that that 3,000 is 12 points away, and the way that this is just kind of bubbling up. Oh, look at that. 1,000. So this is the one where they keep going through, right? Yeah. Should be able to get more than that. Hmm. There's like no liquidity building up behind them in the E-mini. So if they, given that we're seeing 1000s up here, if they peak, they're going to get sucked right back down. Maybe we can find Gloria on non-farm payrolls. Non-farm payrolls should be a big deal, huh? Because we had that one report that was so bad, and then the one report that was so good, and then I think last one was like nothing burger, right? Or like confusing, and we still need a non-farms to confirm things, and if it comes out tomorrow on Friday, a bad report, then yeah. I keep thinking that they're gonna overdo it and push too high, but I'm still seeing thousands trading, and they're not really going whoosh. Cumulative delta isn't a ton. I think that's what irritates me, is that I shouldn't have taken some of the trades that I took today. I shouldn't have taken. And here's in the ZN, still coming, breaking the range, of course. Okay. Thousands. That time it ticked down. Hmm. Okay. Weird action in the 10-year at 08.5. No, I don't know. I think that ES is drinking too much of that easy money Kool-Aid, and that this isn't going to happen today. 2 hours in this trade and I'm looking at a tick? Where did you get in from? Well, that one didn't work out. Still trading pretty big numbers up here. I wish I hadn't gotten that second bird, guys. He's so loud. It's so shrill. It's so much more shrill than Jerry. It's almost like, I feel like whenever he's squawking that he's like demanding something of us. Like he sounds unhappy to me. Ticking around too much. Nope. That's what I get for fighting the trend. Dang, yes. You should better buy some SPX or SPY puts, right? I'm just in the wrong side of mind. Like, if I were to buy here, this is where it's going to stop. I will demonstrate. Try this. What? Buy pullbacks to the POV and value high. In guess it's a lot of the stuff that I would use for that sort of a thing are not terribly useful right now. Kind of wondering now, though, that 3,000, the way that they're buying it, it's like they want to go and get it no matter what. They don't care. You know what I mean? But I don't even think it's that. Like, I think that the reason that those trades went bad was because I was selling. I mean, that's all there was to it. It wasn't even, there weren't even maybe necessarily terrible spots, but I don't think that they were good spots. But the bigger problem is that they want to go long, you know. Because they're pushing through volume now pretty easily. And look at the treasuries. I'm actually going to get filled on my treasury trade. I think I read that one correctly. Though I don't like what it's doing right here at 09.5. Double top and ZB 23 stalled their moves. ES managed to take out the 100% extension and picked up speed as continuation developed. Note, ES managed the 50% retracement test first before the move up to test the extension levels. Okay. You know what? I need to look at that sort of stuff because you're talking about things that I hadn't even considered. $123. I think ZB is going to continue through. Buy all the things. Is that what we're getting? Is that what this is about? Say again, Seth. I couldn't hear your comment. Oh, I was saying I probably need to do a little bit more backtesting and study on those sorts of things, particularly as they relate to ES, because all of these things about the extensions were things that I had not even considered, weren't even on my radar. And even when you say it, I'm not quite sure what to make of it. So it's like, okay, they picked up the 100% extension, is what he says. So does that mean we can have a measured move up to 3,000? Is that what the take here is, or? YouTube's giving me trouble again. Hmm. Move to 3,000 today would mean they'd have to push 4 times the range. So you're saying it's pretty unlikely. I think it's unreliable because of the divergence, maybe not like the reason, but the contributing factor. Hmm. I don't know, man. Treasuries seem to really push up there. Treasuries, I see a possibility of extending. Equities, I'm still thinking, well, because I went long, now it's going to be over. If I had taken any of those other longs, I would probably still need to have been this patient. But that was one of the bigger drops that it's done. Somebody finally sold into 09. Now you can't take the loss because it might hold at bonds highs and trade back down. Now this one over here, I'm okay with it. I think there's a really high probability that ZB touches 25. It's the E-mini that like the thing I'm trying to prove to myself right now is that it has less to do with the edge and more to do with the direction. And taking 3 trades short when it's trending up was just the mistake. But if I say I take it long because I saw that there was some more pressure for it to move up, and it stops there, then I have to say no. I'm doing something wrong. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Oh, I'm long, Zian. I thought you were short. Right. Okay. Well, now it's coming back to my entry. Notice that treasuries have come down a little bit and the E-mini has come down a little bit. Let's see, do they take 09? What happens if they take 09? Okay, they took 09. E-mini ticks up. See what I'm talking about? They went down. E-mini tick down. It's only a tick. Okay, they tick up. E-mini ticks up. That's probably the male. Okay, sure. I'll be right back. Okay. Well, my Treasury trade still looks great. My E-mini trade is okay. I mean, it's gone. How much has it gone against me? 2. So it is acting like the opposite of before. But it still makes me nervous. ECB's Villeroy, various inflation measures must be closely monitored. Various measures are not always coherent. Some dude ranting about George Soros behind it all on CNBC. You're looking at a correlation that is unreliable at best. Just because the S is ticking down is no guarantee that the Treasuries will tick up. No, it's not. I'm not, we got to separate between what I'm seeing and what is likely to happen, right? What I'm seeing is it appears to me that equities are moving up because Treasuries are moving up. That is very clear. That is totally a thing happening right now. Okay. So if we say that's the current conditions, then we can kind of put things in a slightly different framework, right? Well, if we're buying equities because it's easy money, probably in order to get a sell at this point, I think that we would have to see something a little bit stronger. In other words, everything's likely to just continue bubbling up. But then the other thing is that if treasuries move down, I mean, if that's the reason why, and treasuries move down, that's not necessarily a sell in the E-mini. If anything, correlation might be that buying in the treasuries is a positive for the equities in the zero. No, that's exactly what I'm saying, right? The buying in treasuries is good for equities. In other words, the robots are pushing it in a positive correlation. Sorry about the background noise. We're doing some. Look at that. And the crazy thing here is in treasuries is that this is looking like you can just hold it forever. You can just buy and hold it. So it's like the opposite of the beginning of this year, where you could just, anytime that they bought treasuries, that was a spot where you should just sell it and hold it. Now it's the opposite. Those funds, they want them bad, and they're just going to keep buying them. That time they moved, though, and equities are still relatively quiet. Oh, look at that. Jeez, bird. It's okay. Okay. Bye. I feel like I've been sitting here for a really long time, and I'm surprised that it's almost 9 o'clock. Some selling in the 5-year. By the way, look at this stack in the 5-year. What the what? Think ZB will break higher now? Alligator? Ten was where they stopped before, wasn't it? 10.5. Ranged there before, now they're ranging there again. This looks like something that could move higher, but it's going to be something that like they're going to take forever and ever to do it. They're going to wait for any kind of short-term people to be out. Kind of a weak test of the highs there. Okay. Thinking about moving this. Now, what's this? Everybody wants to disturb me today. That's probably spam. That time they stepped up to the high a little bit tepidly. Like it was a little like it was no big deal. But then they were also really cautious about it. Like it just kind of happened to do it. There you go. And so the 5-year is kind of eating into this liquidity. And there's icebergs there. They're completely willing to buy it. Hmm. So another drop. When you get the orange candles, they are bigger. Okay, 5-year thinking about hitting 10.5 now, maybe? No, not yet. Maybe? Not even seeing anybody buy into it yet. 10.5. Okay, no, there's some have hit into it. Is there maybe a limit to how high these treasuries can go before the equities are like, maybe we should be scared? So an iceberg at 29.90. Okay, they got through at that time. Nope. See, that's not supposed to happen. ZB outperforming ES missing the party. Yeah, you probably would have made more money, huh? Although ES did have a pretty good run up, I'd say. It was 10 points higher. And considering how far they've moved in the past month. I don't know, I'm having a hard time living with this world where the ZB is going up and everything is supposed to be okay. Makes me so incredibly uneasy. It seems like I don't know. There's not a ton of volume going through here, so I shouldn't be reading too much into this, but buyers might be done. I wonder how long the E-mini can stay here. So E-mini that's gonna be it for the day maybe? So now I've had 6 and 4. Treasuries don't look so amazing now that they're not at 10, do they? And ZB fell onto the bed at 21. I wonder if they're going to revisit 16. That would be down there. That's too far. There's a gap at 18. That was a nice push. Nice push down, you mean? Push up. Wow. They had that little bit from 90 to 92, didn't they? A lot of this delta has come off. Pretty much the whole thing from 87. I don't know. It's kind of this funny thing too. 2 ticks down in ES, and now we're all the way down here in ES. Did I say that right? 2 ticks down in ZN, and now we're basically 8 ticks down in ES, in the equities, in the E-mini. A lot of this just looks like noise to me, though. Noise down here, and maybe there's going to be some buying come into the equities. Let's see. I can't help but wonder if all that was just profit taking. should note that yesterday they bought up, and then after the European close, they sold. Well, they started selling from the top of the hour, but this looks vaguely familiar. Sweep down. Well, we've seen sweeps today and they've reversed, so that's not necessarily like a reason to panic, but it's curious for sure. Yeah, look at that. Hmm. It's reloading a lot back both ways here at 29.88.75. Well, 75 and 89. It's doing it at 89 too. So quite a few buying there, and there's just a complete iceberg there, stopping it. Well, I've had equal amounts, favorable ticks and unfavorable ticks. So it's quite a bit of a selling that's been coming through. I don't think that what I've been doing in the E-mini works, guys. I'm not sure why all of a sudden it seems like that I'm just dead wrong every time, but it doesn't work. Doesn't work right now. If I turned around and tried to sell it, I can't do that. That treasury trade, I still think they're going to break the high. Let's see. I want to at least see the European close, so we'll stick around for a few minutes. But that was pretty discouraging. I feel like I can't close the day if you're still on. Or I'll turn it off here in 6 minutes, I think. I don't know if, especially on a holiday, that trading after the European close is a good idea, Probably trading today was a bad idea in general. I think that's part of what's going on. But man, I feel like that something is trading against me. It's kind of weird how it works in ES too, because my treasury traders, my trade in treasuries has not been terrible. Has not been terrible. I still get favorable ticks, and I'm getting some okay stuff. But what I'm doing in ES just doesn't work. And the way that I'm taking profits just doesn't work. That's fine, Seth. We are your treasury traders, right? That's true. I mean, we all started this because of treasuries, didn't we? The main reason I've been trading ES is because I thought that I had some stuff and some potential. The thing is that I actually did have a good little run there in ES, and then I just gave it up. That's the thing that makes me mad. So and that's where I'm like, I know that doesn't work, because you take a loss, it erases it. The amount that I make on the good time is not enough compared to what I lose when it's bad. For this to work, I would need a third contract and a lot more volatility. But I swear, it's like, I mean, here it is. I'm going to try switching it around, okay? Oh, hold on. Anyways, so I'm just going to take it long because my last one was long, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but the whole thing is I just got stopped out. So let's just say that you reverse there, right? I feel like the market's fighting me particularly. You know, like if it's range bound, relatively slow action in equities. I don't know. They're finally giving me some, right? Okay, well, anyways, I think that it is time to quit there. So I don't know what the deal is. I guess it's just a range bound day. We'll see. Anyways, it's actually working. Yeah, it actually did work for four ticks. I mean, we would need to get 10 ticks out of it. If it goes up to 29.92 again, then it's going to be like, what the? But I don't think that that's what it is. I think it's just all in our head, right? I think that the strategy is just random right now, is what I think. And I just happened to get a bunch in a row and long when I shouldn't have. Or sorry, short. You know, I shouldn't have gotten so many short in a row and whatever. Okay. It is now 9:30, so there's the close. So I will see you guys on Friday. Should be good stuff. And in the meantime, don't do what I did. Stay profitable, friends.